Hello YouTube, what is going on? It's Day the CEO. My apologies for being a bit inactive recently. I got sick and yeah, I just wanted to come back and give you guys a trade recap for YouTube. So basically the first trade and only ticker that I ended up trading today is going to be SPY. Now, looking at SPY, we obviously played the downside today. If we go back to yesterday or Tuesday, we had a bit of sideways action, which kind of allowed us to find our key levels, find our supply and demand zones, and you know, move that into Wednesday or today and trade basically based off that. So let's switch over to the 1 minute chart. Looking at SPY today, we obviously sold off heavily in the morning and then just had some sideways consolidation as we neared FOMC minutes. So the first trade that I want to walk you guys through is going to be this SPY downside play. So, pre-market wasn't showing us anything really. We seen this sideways action, and then what we saw was a hold of this 444 key level. Now, Malik brought this to my attention in the Discord. 444 was a key level holding for SPY. If we seen a breakdown, we were going to end up playing the downside. As you can see, we did end up breaking down. So once the ask size and a lot of sellers began to come and push in and kind of wash out the buyers is where I ended up executing on my first position. So my first initial entry is going to be at this 644 candle. We kind of saw volume die out a little bit here, which was probably why this wasn't the most ideal entry. I ended up taking my first position here. My risk to reward looked good as I had my PTs down at 443, etc. And I ended up taking my first position here. Now we ended up pushing back up to kind of this 444.6 area, which we could see upside if we end up breaking the 445 key level. I didn't end up cutting my losses. I actually ended up adding here. And the reason why is because sellers were in control. There was very bearish price action at the open. There was a lot of ask size. Buyers weren't really there. It looked like candlesticks were wiggling a lot as we pushed to the upside, and I didn't see a lot of strength. So this was just another buy opportunity to short the market. I ended up adding another position right here, and then my risk to reward looked even better as we rejected. So it's all about positioning yourself for the oncoming move that you foresee. So I ended up adding my position right here, waiting for another break below kind of this low after the market opened. I ended up adding another 5 contracts right here at this break of 443.8, and we just had a flash sell candle right here. We pushed below 443 key level, and then we also ended up pushing back down to around the 442.6 area. I ended up exiting my position around 442.8, which was a nice around 22% return on SPY today. I like trading the cheaper contracts on SPY and just trading 0 DTE because the premium moves really good with these. And another thing to note, as we saw the open of the market today, premiums on puts were holding up very well, and they really weren't falling to the downside as much, even when we saw price action pushing to the upside. So there was a lot of buyers for the downside today and a lot of sweeps. So I ended up playing the downside, and that was the first trade. Now, as we go on, I did make a kind of mistake trade. Now, you see right here that we sold off more. And then as we go into FOMC, which was at 11 today, we see this kind of price action start pushing upside, and here is where I make my first mistake. So we're seeing price action pick up, moving to the upside, and I'm still short biased. So the issue right here is you never want to be biased when the market is changing, new news is coming out. I don't like to trade off news very much. I trade more based off price action. But we ended up seeing this upside push. 447 key level was in supply. So I was looking for a reject to the downside, and I was pretty hesitant to take my initial entry around this level just because the amount of buyers, and I didn't want to get caught in a squeeze while shorting to the downside. So we ended up actually rejecting this level, and then I tried to execute right here at this 446.3 to the downside, and I just couldn't get filled, and then we ended up breaking below to the 446 level where I ended up taking one position on, and then we ended up pushing down to around like 445.7, fell obviously all the way to 445.3, but I ended up exiting my position early, making like seven, maybe like 7 points on this trade, which definitely wasn't worth the risk to reward. Maybe like a 2% trade on this. So this definitely wasn't worth the risk to reward. So that was kind of the mistake. I was just trying to catch maybe a flush back to the downside as it looked very overextended. Now looking at SPY, we obviously pushed into 448s, rejected, and now we're falling after hours. So we'll see what the market ends up giving us tomorrow. This is a simple trade recap of today. Make sure you guys drop a follow or leave a like on this video and drop a comment if it helped, and I'll do more of these videos. And make sure you follow my Twitter at DayTheCEO. I appreciate everyone and hope you guys have a great day. Stay blessed. Peace.